Make sure you let him know. Dang, you lost all that weight. Like, you look a little light. You must not be carrying your balls because I seem to have them. Hello, welcome back to Bennystake. I'm your girl Benny, and welcome back to my channel. Y'all, we are in the living room, but we're not watching nothing, okay? I was over here just like responding to comments like I typically do, which, by the way, thank you to everybody. I know I've said it before, but like it is not lost on me, okay, that y'all be taking the time to actually watch my long form content and leave a comment. Like, it's not lost on me that y'all engage with me on all the platforms, right? But particularly right here on YouTube, like the videos be an hour long, I be rambling. Sometimes I don't be making no sense. Sometimes I don't even be know my words. But y'all be here, and sometimes I don't be as consistent. Sometimes I be all over the place, but y'all still just like be coming back, watching and engaging with my content. And so I just appreciate y'all so very much, okay? And so I was out here, just like reading the comments. Also, go ahead and subscribe, okay? If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you always don't want to upload. I'll be doing my best to upload like, at least twice a week. A little one, two for the girls, right? But I was responding to comments and I came across this comment right here. Okay, I'm going to leave it on the screen. Go ahead and pause to read. And first of all, I just want to say, like, thank y'all again, right? It feels just so nice for somebody to value almost like your take on something and for them to just like ask you to weigh in on something random, right? Like, it's one thing, people ask me to react to videos all the time, but to have somebody just like, reach out to me for something that's not like a trendy topic, it's not no nothing, and they just want to hear, my thoughts on something. I don't know if this is something that they're going through personally. I've blocked out their name. I don't know if this is something that they're going through personally or whatever the case is, but like, to just have somebody trust me, okay, me, like a whole me, like you wanna hear my take on something that's like it ain't got nothing to do with like what's trending online, and it's like you just want to hear my take on something random. That made me feel, what I'm saying? Like, that made me feel a little like, okay, girl, like sometimes it be making sense and like people see the value in that. So thank you again for leaving this comment. I know I'd responded on some just like, thank you again for leaving the comment. But I was like, you know what? I got me some free will. I got a camera, I got me a microphone, I got me a little light, okay? The hair is still there, I don't look like no crackhead. All right, this hair, I've tried to fall in love with it, but it's just like certain things that's just like not giving, but also I'm not trying to waste no money. So we're just gonna ride this out for a couple more weeks, and then we're just gonna rock out our natural hair. I'm getting besides myself, but the point is I have free will. And I was like, why don't I just react to this? Why don't I just respond to this, excuse me, with a video, right? Because they watched my video and they asked me a question. So I was like, why not just respond with a video? So these are my takes, okay? I have several on this topic. Shall we? Let's just go ahead and get into it. So I covered that good sister's name just to give her like, a sense of like privacy. That way, we're not all up in her business. Although I do have a couple questions for logistics, like, is this a story specifically to you, or is it just like we trying to ask for the people of God as a general rule? You know what I'm saying? Because she going to say, hey, Benny, this is not so relevant to the video, but I would love to hear your take on mother-in-laws. Comment down below. Do y'all have crazy mother-in-laws? Like, have y'all ever dealt with like crackhead mother-in-laws? Like that cheap $3.99 crack? The one Whitney was warning the children of God not to be on? Like, have y'all ever dealt with that? Because it's like, dang. She gonna be like, especially the ones that are obviously jealous and super involved in their son's relationship. The keyword right there for me is super involved, right? Because it's like, you want a parent to be involved in their child's life to some degree, right? I'm sure, many of us have maybe dealt with parents struggling, to know how to parent us while we are adults, right? They still maybe wanna kind of like, tell us what to do, treating us as if we're still 5. You know, it's like you can't cross the road by yourself. Like I got to go ahead and hold your hand through everything. You know what I'm saying? So to some degree, you still want a parent that's gonna know how to essentially parent their adult children, right? But the key word for me right then and there is like the super involved. Cause I want you to be involved, but like can you like socially distance and involve at the same times? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you be involved social distance style? Like 6 feet. Can I just like reach out to you a little bit? Like, do you have to be like, oh, like you ain't got to be on my skin? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how them old white people don't be knowing that personal space and want to talk to you right here, like me and you now we are one. Like, can you just not involve yourself in my life to that degree? Can you be like social distance a little bit? Right? To me, the word right there is super. What do you mean by super involved? Sister girl now. You might not want to put your business down there in the comment section. But if you could just go ahead and slide down my DM and let me know specifically, like, what's the tea, girl? Like, what's the story? What the mother-in-law did? Is this specific to you? Is this your sister's story? Is this your cousin? Like, your grandma? Like, whose story is this? Because I got questions. What is super involved? Because, you got like super glue. It's gonna really hold. It's gonna really hold. So like when she's super involved, like how tight is she holding on to the relations with her son? How much involved is she? Like, give me an example. Give me an example. But she gonna say, how would you advise a woman to deal with such a situation? Okay. For me, the biggest thing will be, how is the son reacting to the mother's involvement to your relationship? Right? Because if that baby got his balls aligned, right? His balls are attached to him, the spine is aligned. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we ain't got to go ahead and check under my couch to figure out if some of his testicles are behind my couch. If that's not the case, right? If that man has balls attached to him and he ain't got his mouth down there on his mother's titties, if that's not what we're dealing with, then honestly, you ain't got to do much. He should be taking care of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he should be able to be like, I know I've been crossed down your canal. Okay, once upon a time, you was out here hunching my daddy. And he done left his luggage, and 9 months later, here I came. And once upon a time, I needed you to be all up in my business, to take care of me and to raise me. But for such a time as this, I need for you to go ahead and social distance. You know what I'm saying? I need for you to be involved in my life, social distance style. You know what I'm saying? So if the man in question has that kind of, approach, has that kind of boundary, and has that kind of awareness of like, okay, I love my mom and I love that she wants the best for me. I love that she wants to be a part of my life, but like it's giving three in one. It's three of us in this one relations, and it's like that's not how it's supposed to be. Okay, that ain't how it's supposed to be. If the man has that emotional awareness, if the man has those balls in place and his spine is aligned and is able to notice those things, and even if he wasn't noticing these things by himself, and you bring it to his attention, right? And he's like, you know what? You're probably right. Like, my mama tripping. Right? Like, my mama tripping. I'm not gonna call her bald headed because she's my mama, but she low-key tripping. If the man has that approach, then you ain't got to deal with not a damn thing. I've always been a firm believer that the relationship that, a daughter-in-law will have with the mother-in-law is going to be essentially established by the man in question, or if the roles are reversed, by the woman. He gets to set the standard for how exactly his family as a whole will treat you, and that will treat the relationship. So as soon as he catches like a little snarky comments, we're not gonna do that with my woman. right? Like immediately everybody knows that, okay, he don't play about her for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? Like those boundaries, I really believe you have to set it with the man. Like the man has to be the one to create those boundaries. Let's say, for instance, the mom is, coming at you, giving you unsolicited advice or all of the things. It's up to the man, right? The guy that you're dating or your fiance, your husband, whoever this person is to you. It's up to them to be like, I'm in this relations with our good sis. You go ahead and find my daddy. Okay? And if you ain't trying to be with my daddy, go ahead and find somebody with a different set of testicles. Okay? And attach yourself to them. Not me. Right? Go ahead and pack your belongings and get you a man somewhere else. Because let's keep it a buck, right? A lot of us have come from households that were so broken, right? Especially, and I'm not saying this as a general rule, I'm just saying, like, as an example. Sometimes you have, mothers who had to raise their sons, right, by themselves. And so there was no father in the house to set that example, to have kind of like that balance, right? And you have mothers who spend their entire lives putting their children first, putting their sons first. Because y'all know how some of the moms be about their sons. Okay, just loose, no boundaries, no whatsoever, right? But like it almost becomes unhealthy when, in a sense, the mothers, as their sons grow up, the mothers almost look to their sons as if they're their man. Comment down below and let me know if you've ever noticed that dynamic. Sometimes, not always. Okay, whenever you have, women in a household where the men were not present, where the men were not there involved. And so now they raise this son, and sometimes it's not even like in a sexual manner or anything, but like their sons begin to play that role of like the men of the house almost. A lot of us have seen, even in movies, on some like, oh, the dad is like about to leave. He gonna be like to his son, like, okay, sit over here and take care of your mom. You are now the man of the household. Mind you, Lord Jr. is 10. 10 and a half. He about to be 11 down there in October 11th. But they're gonna be like, oh, now you the man of the house. Right? Like now you the man of the house. And sometimes those rhetorics, right? I've seen some examples of this in my personal life, but I've also seen it like, with some stories just like online. Whereas, that whole narrative of like, you as a young boy or as like a young man in the house, you are now the man of the house. Some women, especially if they have a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, a lot of healing that they have to do, some women begin to treat their sons as if they're their man. Especially whenever the man was not around in the house. And so when now you come, okay, you're trying to date their son, now they feel as though they're trying to compete with you, and that dynamic becomes weird. Like, no, you are the mother. Okay? He crossed your canal once. By God's grace, he's crossing mine a lot. Okay? Knocking on the doorbell, you know what I'm saying, getting his visa and his passport and all of the things. Me and you, we're not competing. This is apples and oranges. But sometimes it's a lot of hurt, it's a lot of healing that has to take place. Whereas you have mothers, right, who are hurt by some of like, the lack of, a male presence in their lives. Right? Because they can't make somebody choose them. They can't make somebody be a part of their lives. But to some degree, you are my son. I brought you into this world. So there's that loyalty. There's that care that you have for me. And sometimes it becomes unhealthy, right? Where that whole you are the man of the house, the women almost start to treat their sons as if they're their men. So now here you come, you're just trying to love on their son, you're just trying to be out here just like living your best life, enjoying your relations, blowing the trumpet and doing all of the things. And here comes Mother Bertha, Mad at you because you been took the man of her house away from her. That is very unhealthy. And if that's the case, or if some of those tendencies you seeing that to be present, it still is the responsibility of the son, okay, to go ahead and adjust his balls, align some things, and let it do what it do. Then mama's boys, some of them be enjoying the attention. Hey baby, how you doing? Why you say it like that? You know what I'm saying? Some of these mama's boys, they enjoy that attention. They enjoy, having, their mothers, who do everything for them, who wait on them, what is it, hand and foot? Is that the saying? Waiting on somebody hand and foot? I'm not sure, but like, almost as if there's a little bell, I'm just gonna ring it and my mama gonna come and do everything. Just like the women that enable their sons, right? So you have some sons who are used to that. And now when they get with you, they want you to be doing that as well. And now you're going to come in and be like, first of all, that's unhealthy. Your mama should teach you, okay, to be independent. Your parents, as a general rule, should teach you to be independent, okay, so that you can stand on your own two balls, right? So if you are dealing with a man who does not have the emotional intelligence and does not know how to set those boundaries, I'm just going to be honest with you, depending on where the level of the relationship is, go ahead and end it. If it's just a boyfriend that you just met like a couple days ago, and you are noticing that he ain't got no balls, you're not saying like every other Tuesday he down there on his mother's titties, like you just cannot align his spine. Beloved, gather your belongings and be gone in Jesus' name. Okay, gather your belongings and be gone in Jesus' name. Right? Now, if it's like maybe a fiance and maybe, you guys are a little bit more, a little deep into the relations, and maybe you like the person, you feel like, that's just like an area where they might grow into and whatever the case is, then by that measure, I would say now your boundaries, you ain't got to play about it. Okay, ideally, the man has the balls to protect and defend you against any harm, any insult, any, overbearing comments or whatever the case is from their parents or their family at large, right? Hopefully they have the balls to do so, right? And hopefully, if things come about, they nip it in the bud right then and there. But if that's not the case and you ain't trying to leave, because some of y'all be telling y'all to leave, y'all don't be wanting to leave, right? Now, if this is like maybe a fiance or maybe it's already like a husband, and maybe some of these things are just not beginning to annoy you a lot more in a way that you didn't think they would in the past, then I will say you have to have your boundaries in a way like boundaries have never boundaried before. Okay? If he ain't got no balls to stand up and align his spine, you align yours. Okay? You align yours. She bald-headed anyways. Okay? You know what I mean? Ideally, the man defends you. In a perfect relationship, he creates those boundaries. He makes sure that his family respects you. And if they do not, he's the one that addresses them. He's the one that checks them up. What y'all not gonna do is come on my girl any which way. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has to be the one to do that. But if he's not doing that, and you ain't trying to leave, then you have to go ahead and get your boundaries together. Don't be trying to be over here like, oh, we just trying to keep the peace. Because a lot of y'all be trying to keep the peace while you losing your edges. You trying to keep the peace and your edges is down there in Bethlehem. Okay, just like Toasted. I'm losing my edges too, but it ain't because of my mother-in-law. I'm just losing my edges because I ain't took care of my hair. You know what I'm saying? But like a lot of us be trying to like, keep the peace. Like, let me not just like, rock the boat too much. Beloved, rock the boat. Okay, shake the boat. Flip the boat. Do all of the things that you guys to do with the boat. Because whenever you pretend to keep the peace at the expense of your own well-being, you will lose your mind. you will literally lose your mind. You have to establish those boundaries. If she makes a snarky comments, check her. You got to work on your boundaries, right? You have to establish your boundaries and stand by them. And here's the thing. Sometimes whenever we talk about boundaries, we be thinking that boundaries are things that other people have to do. Where in reality, those are rules. Boundaries are essentially what you're gonna do if things go, in a way that you don't want them to go. An example would be like, say, whatchamacallit, you have a boundary on some like, oh, whenever it's 5 p.m., I'm not gonna be responding to none of them people's emails. Okay, Susan B. Anthony and Mark Henderson, they're gonna be emailing. But as soon as it's 5 p.m., I'm not gonna go ahead and respond to them people's emails. Right? A boundary is yours to keep. So that means if Susan down there from HR, Susan B. Anthony, okay, and Rachel Singer decides to go ahead and email you at freaking 5:02, right? You then get to be like, my boundary is that I do not respond to emails beyond 5 p.m. So no matter how many emails Susan B. Anthony gonna go ahead and send, no matter how many emails Rachel Singer and Mark Zuckerberg and them gonna send your way, okay? Your boundary is that I do not respond to emails after 5 p.m. Right? As soon as 5 p.m. hits, whatever came at 5:01, I'm going to deal with it at 9:01 in the morning. That's your boundary. And by that measure, nobody can break your own boundaries. Because they could email as much as they want to email. It ain't going to move the decisions that you've already made for yourself as to how you're going to deal with whatever emails comes after 5. Right? Because wanting to argue Susan and them down from your HR, again, we're just going to keep going with this analogy. Wanting to argue them down is essentially almost like trying to give them rules on some like, do not email me, okay, after 5 p.m. They may listen, they may not. You cannot control them emailing you after 5 p.m. But what you can control is going to be your response. My response not going to get to your inbox until 9 a.m. tomorrow or 9:30, because my boundary is that I do not email nobody after 5 p.m. Do y'all kind of like see the difference? Comment down below and let me know if I'm just rambling. Right? Like rules are imposed on other people. A boundary is for yourself. A boundary is what you're going to do or what you're not going to do if XYZ happens. So back to the in-laws. Say your boundary is like, okay, I do not accept people making comments around my body. I'm just going to use that as an example. If somebody makes comments around my body, I will get up and leave. Or I will make a comment about their body too. That's an example, right? You cannot control your mother-in-law making comments about your body. But what you can control is your response to if they make a comment around your body, right? So say maybe your reaction is going to be like, you know what? If somebody makes a comment around my body, I'm going to get up and leave. Regardless of the occasion, regardless of the time, regardless of the venue, regardless of what's going on, you make a comment about my body, I will get up and I will leave. By that measure, she's not going to break your boundaries. The only person that's going to be able to break your boundary will be you. If she makes a snarky comment, you're like, oh, it's a funeral. Uncle Gene just passed. Right? I ain't trying to rock the boat. So let me just go ahead and stay. They need me with the mac and cheese and all of the things. No, 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 no. My boundary is that if you make a comment around my body, I'm finna get up and leave. Or I'm finna smack you across the face. Or I'm finna go ahead and call you bald head. Like whatever your boundary is, whatever your response is to somebody doing X, Y, and Z, stand by it. Right? If the mother-in-law keeps being in your business and giving unsolicited advice, every time she offers unsolicited advice, have a plan in place. Have a response in place. This ain't your business, beloved. Okay? If you are so concerned about balls, go ahead and find you a pair. Okay? If you're so concerned about relationships, get you into one. Okay? Because this ain't no holy trinity. It's me and your son. This ain't no three in one. It ain't none of that. I'm in these relations with your son and your son alone. Okay? You reiterate that over and over and over and over again. Eventually, people learn. Literally, people learn. I had somebody who kept making comments around my body. And one day I was just gonna like, if you make comments around my body again, this is where I had that example. I'm just gonna walk away. Next time I was around there, they went ahead and did the same thing. I was literally walking to the door. I turned right around and I left. That was the last time they made a comment around my body. When people see that you're serious about the things that you're saying, they have no other choice but to respect you. But the problem with us is sometimes we don't even respect ourselves. We don't even respect the boundaries that we've set for ourselves. That we break our own boundaries over and over and over again, which is why people don't want to take us seriously. Right? If it's a situation where you can go ahead and leave that baby, leave. And I'm of the mind that in any level of the relationship, if it becomes too unbearable and too much for you to engage in, you can always leave. You can always break an engagement. You can always get a divorce. It's not gonna be easy, right? Like I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be slow, right? It's not gonna be easy, but there's always a way out. The Lord always gonna provide an escape. Listen, the Lord always gonna provide an escape. Right? But if it's something that you feel like you can make work, if it's something that you feel like, okay, I still want to be in this relationship, but the mother-in-law is just overbearing, and then the son can locate his balls, okay, because he done close his eyes as he's sucking on his mother's titties. Now I got to go ahead and stand up for myself, and I got to be very firm with my boundaries. If she does this, I will do this. So every time she does this, you do that. Okay, if she says X, I'm going to do Z. So if she does X, do Z. Time and time and time and time again. Okay? Sometimes you got to make people respect you if there's no way that you can eliminate them, right? Like out of your life. Sometimes you just got to make them respect you. Sometimes you just gotta, you gotta make them respect you. And every time you stand up to the mother, go ahead and call the man a bitch too. Because that just go ahead and do it, because at that point you really is a bitch. You really are. Ain't no spine, ain't no testicles that we just like, I can't see nothing. Just look around, everybody no testicles, just like nothing. Be sure he knows it. Be sure he knows it. You might not want to call him a bitch directly, but be sure you say something that's just gonna let him know that you've not seen his balls in a little while. Okay, your boundary is gonna be firm, and you just gonna let him know, like, wow. I didn't realize that I had to go ahead and be the man in these relations as well. Make sure you let him know. Dang, you lost all that weight. Like, you look a little light. You must not be carrying your balls because I seem to have them. Be sure he knows he's a little bitch. Be sure he knows that as well. Okay? And hopefully someday he stops sucking on his mama's titties and locate his balls so that he can be the man that you deserve. You know what I'm saying? That's my advice. Yeah, I got me a little fashion show. My man he got him some clothes and he wanted to go ahead and show me, so I had to hype him up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But like, make sure your man that ain't got him his testicles aligned, make sure he knows he a little bitch. Find a way to say it in a way that's gonna take him a little second. Right? Since he's taking him a second to go ahead and stop latching down at his mother's titties, say it in a way like, dang. You ain't even gotta do too much. Like, take my idea. Just go be like, whenever he does something that's like a little bitch ass move, just be like, dang. And then he gonna ask you like, oh, what you looking for? Your balls? You seem to have misplaced them. And unlike your keys, unlike your car keys and your wallet, I can't help you find it. Hello? Right? That's how you deal with it as a woman. Right? That's how you deal with it. And if it gets to the point where it's literally affecting your life and your well-being, make a plan. Make a plan to get yourself up out of that situation, especially if it's still early on. Because if he gonna be a little bitch as your boyfriend, guess what? As a fiance, whenever y'all planning the wedding, he gonna be a little bitch. And when y'all are down there, whatchamacallit, getting married, he's still gonna be a little bitch. You know what I'm saying? And by the time you guys get kids, now he gonna be a bitch, and before you know it, your kids gonna be little bitches. You don't wanna do that. Okay, it's gonna be a family of little bit, like just little punk cat. Like you don't want to do that. Okay, so that's my advice. If you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you always know when I upload. This was so random, and I'm just gonna go ahead and post it. I know the schedule on here has just been crazy. I've just been all over the place. I still have videos that I've already recorded actually for blue therapy that I'm just gonna roll out as I edit. And I'm just gonna finish out the series. But go ahead and subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload. I'm really just like I'm enjoying my free will. As of late, I wanna enjoy my free will. I feel like, towards the end of last year, I just felt so restricted. I felt like I was someday I'll share the story, right? But like I felt almost like so the end of last year was really rough for me. I felt like a shell of myself. Like it just was not. It was not a good time for me, right? Like ever since like August, and all throughout like the end of the last year, it just was a lot. And I think this new year, I'm kind of like just focusing and getting my voice back. Creatively, that is right. In my personal life, I'm fine, but as far as like my voice, whatever. But like I'm trying to use my free will. I want to live my life. Like I felt like the end of last year almost like drained me emotionally a little bit more. And I think also like turning 30, it did a number on me. Like turning 30 did kind of like it did a lot want to me, like mentally. And so this year I'm using my free will. Okay, I'm using my free will. We gonna let it do what it do. I'm just gonna stand my ground. I'm gonna use my voice. I'm just gonna be me. I'm gonna go back to the girl that I remember being, very just like bold and outspoken and just like very daring to like try different things and explore my life and just like live my life out loud. Right. So I'm using my free will. Randomly, I feel like I wanna say something, even though it's not within the plan and the things that we're doing. I'm gonna turn on my camera, I'm gonna talk. Right? If I want to do a little 1 2 1 3, like I'm just gonna do my best because the world is crazy, right? I wanna live my life, and I don't wanna be like an outsider, right, of my own life, which is how I felt like last year. Towards the end, it just was too much. But anyways. I don't know why I'm telling y'all this, but if you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, sister girl, for sending this little question my way. It did my heart so good. Oh my God. Yes. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go. Child, I may suck. Goodbye.